So today we are talking about our Imam, your Imam of your time. Who would that be? Yes, Imam Mehdi alayhi salam. So Imam Mehdi, why is he not here? I mean, we're waiting for him after all, aren't we? Well, that's what we're going to find out today in our talk. Before we answer that question, let's talk about Imam Hussein alayhi salam's stand. So Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he took a stand against Yazid. He was an unjust ruler. 50 years after the death of the Prophet, many changes were made to the religion to such an extent the religion was about to be lost. Just like every other religion that came before, when after the Prophet died, people started to change the religion for their benefit. Hypocrites and non-believers came in and used the religion for their own personal desires. This was also happening for the religion of the Prophet. It had changed so much that our Imam, our third Imam, had no choice but to make a stand against a leader who called himself the leader of the Islamic world. So he was very inappropriate to be the leader of the Muslims. He used to drink alcohol, amongst other things. He used to be an oppressor. He oppressed people. He was very unjust. All of these things and many more are examples of what an Islamic leader should not be. So Imam Hussein alayhi salam took a stand against a very corrupt dictator. And when he did this, there were different types of people who stood with him or against him. There are different groups that we're dealing with here. We have those who stood with him, loyal supporters. There were only 72. Only 72 people of all the Muslims, which was a very big population at the time, who would stand with their Imam, with their true Imam. Who were the other groups? It would be interesting to see. We had his killers, people who wanted to kill him, people who stood with Yazid and were adamant that Imam Hussein would die. A fair number. It was a very big army. More than 10,000 men stood and were happy to kill the grandson of the Prophet. And they did this for many different reasons, some of which were because they were promised riches, they were promised power, and things like that. So because of this, we had a very big group of people who were happy to kill the grandson of the Prophet only 50 years after his death. We also had people who we'll call the indifferent bystanders. They stood by, knowing what was happening, knowing the value of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and happy to watch without intervening. They watched, or they knew about what was going on. They didn't feel compelled to go and help. They didn't feel compelled to assist the Imam of their time. They did not feel compelled to assist the man who the Prophet said that he loved, who loved him, and hated who hated him. And we had another group. These were the betraying followers. The reason why Imam Hussein alayhi salam started his uprising in the first place was because many people from Kufa sent letters to Imam Hussein alayhi salam saying, we're ready, we want to, Yazid is a very bad ruler, he's treating us badly, we're not able to follow the true Islam anymore, and please, he's oppressing us, please come and we will stand behind you to fight. And when it came to be that Muslim ibn Aqil came to call them, in the end, they all disappeared. Some of them, the same people who wrote letters to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, calling for a revolution against Yazid, were the same people who were in his army, in Yazid's army. So one minute they said, yes, we will stand behind you in war, we'll be with you, but when things got tough, they ran away. They were cowards. They betrayed their Imam. They did not fulfill the promise that they said. Now, if you can see the groups, you see the indifferent bystanders and the betraying followers. If those two groups had joined our Imam, instead of thinking about their personal benefits, do you think the Imam would have won against the killers and Yazid? Yes. But he was killed and his family were taken as prisoners of war because too many people were either afraid or did not care. I don't know which is worse, to be afraid to support your Imam or just not to care enough to intervene. Because of this, a huge tragedy has now been written in history, and a history that we always think about. Now, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he said a very interesting thing. He said, those who are silent when others are oppressed are guilty of oppression themselves. As the Shia and followers of our Prophet and his Imams, we should not be a people who are quiet when other Muslims are suffering. This is something we need to think about for the next part of our presentation. So now you ask me, okay, before we talk about Imam Mehdi alayhi salam, what are we doing every year? Every year during Muharram, we are very, very sad, we cry, and we try our best to console the Prophet and the Imams for the death of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We remember the tragedy, we remember it with regret, we are so moved and so upset at such a thing to have taken place. And what do we say? We say, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum. If only we were with you. Saying, if only we were with you, we would have been there to support you, O Imam Hussein. And also, when we read Ziyarat Ashura, we say, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me a chance to gain revenge on the death of Imam Hussein with a divinely supported leader. Who's a divinely supported leader? Imam Mehdi alayhi salam, that's right. So that's the connection. In Ziyarat Ashura, a very powerful ziyarah. In this one, we are telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if there is another chance for us to stand against the enemies of Imam Hussein, we will make that stand. We will stand with Imam Mehdi alayhi salam. This is what we're saying every year. Every year we bring our emotions to the fore for the first 10 days, and then we get back to our life. So if we want to answer the question, why is Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam late? Why hasn't he appeared? It's been maybe 1,400, 1,300 years since he disappeared. Till now, he's not able to collect. He only needs 313 true believers, similar to the supporters of Imam Hussein, those 72. If he had 313 of those 72 men, he would be able to appear. He can do his job. It was never about numbers with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's never about numbers. It's always, but he needs that number of people which was similar to those who won in the Battle of Badr, the first battle of the Muslims, and he can't find them. Like, think about that. What are we doing wrong? What's wrong with us? That for thousands of years, our Imam, who is going through immense turmoil and suffering, while he's seeing the Muslims all over the world going through oppression, going through injustice, suffering, and he is not able to help them because there isn't enough Muslims on the ground who care enough. That's basically what it is. We don't care. Are we similar to those indifferent bystanders? Are we similar to those fearful followers, the cowards, who are afraid to stand with their Imam because they would lose their life? Is it because there's too much of us and too few of the loyal followers of Imam Hussein that he cannot find the numbers to create the army that can establish justice around the world? There is so much good in his appearance. There will be so much rest, so much peace, tranquility, happiness. There will be so much satisfaction and content when he appears. Not just for us, but for every person around the world. They will live the life, the utopian life that we hear about. It can only happen under his reign. We can never attain happiness without him. But the problem is, we don't care enough. We are the indifferent bystanders when we see Muslims in China being put in containment camps. When we see the Muslims in Burma, which were persecuted and had to go through ethnic cleansing, we are also indifferent when we see people in Syria or in Iraq or in Afghanistan or in Iran or in any part of the world. We are indifferent. We are disconnected. We are too happy with our materialistic lives that we are not even able to look beyond our own personal desires. We care about our family, care about ourselves. Anything outside our house, we are not connected to. Because of this, everyone says, it's just me, I'm just one person. Well, we're all doing it. And out of the 154 or 200 million Shia all over the world who claim to be waiting for their Imam, he could not find 330. I find that quite damning, to be honest. We should be very, very upset with ourselves. All of us. The fact that he's not here means the fact that we have failed. Now, let's go fast forward to the time of his reappearance. There will be different opinions and different groups when he appears, just like when Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam made his stand. There will be one who will say, I have been helping the Imam all my life, and I'm prepared to do anything for him right now. There are people like this. And there some will say, oh, that's too risky. For me to go with him right now, that's too risky, that's scary. I'm going to see how things pan out. And then we'll see when things are safer, I'll go join. There will be people who will say, I will drop everything right now. Everything I have that I hold dear. Looking after my family, my mortgage, my job, my everything. I'm going to drop everything. I'm going to go and help. There are those who will say, I'm confused. Like, I don't even know what's going on. There will be those who says, is it really though the Imam? Like, do you really think it's the Imam? Maybe it's someone tricking you. Maybe he's some kind of con artist out there to trick us all. And some will be saying, we have been waiting for him and we've been preparing for his death. The one who says, I'm confused, he's ignorant. There will be many people who are, by name, they are follower of Imam Hussein, or follower of Imam Mehdi, but they don't actually have any knowledge of what's happening, what's going on, what will happen when he comes, and so on. This is what we'll call the ignorant. They don't have the knowledge. And the one who says, is the Imam really coming? Is it really him? Maybe he's some kind of con artist out there. Well, he'll be the one of weak belief. Even if it is very clear the Imam is who he is, this person will still have doubts. The one with doubts is the one who has weak belief. We have been waiting for him and we are prepared to kill him, his enemies. We'll go deeper into the enemies in a minute. But let's look closer at the companions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He says, not equal among you are those who spent before the conquest and fought. Those are greater in degrees than those who spent afterwards and fought. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hadid, He's saying, if you work now, you give everything now, you give yourself, you sacrifice yourself, you sacrifice your money, you sacrifice all these things, you serve your Imam now, in this time, before he appears. Your value in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much greater than those who will help the Imam or become believers after he appears. Okay? That's the high level of these close companions. Like I said, they might be the 330. But then when fighting was ordained for them, at once a party of them feared man as they fear Allah, or with even greater fear. They say, O Lord, why have you decreed upon us fighting? If only you postpone it for us for a short time. This has happened before in history, and we always know history repeats itself. People, when they see that war is upon them, they get scared. They're like, no, we got houses, we got families, all this. I don't want to go fight. Can we just postpone this thing to another time? The one who says, who drops everything and goes to help the Imam is someone who in this world hastened to do good works. They worked hard in this world to serve others, to help others, to teach themselves, to improve themselves, and so on. They worked hard. They are the active awaiter. They remember the Imam every day. The reason they're making this big change in their life, the big change in their personality is because of him, because they want to be ready, and when he will appear, they will be ready and know exactly what to do. They will not be confused. The confused or the ignorant. He says, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ghafir, and not equal are the blind and the seeing. If you do not have knowledge, you are like the one who is blind. He's unable to guide himself. But if you have knowledge, if you do your homework about the Imam, you do research, you read books, you learn about what you need to do, learn about him, how he will appear, when he will appear, what signs to look for, what he will achieve, what does he need in a companion, then you will know what to do when he appears. But again, if you don't, you will be like this ignorant person. You'll be like, I don't know what's going on. Faith, those of weak belief, faith shall not profit a soul which did not believe before. The one who did not believe in the Imam enough before he appears will not have value after he appears. You can't be a believer afterwards. There will be those who will be believers after he comes. The whole world will become believers in him and in his message and in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in Islam and everything. But you cannot count that level of faith with the level of faith for the one who was waiting for him. You are in a very good position. You are lucky to be in a position where you are before his appearance, and inshallah also will be there at the time of his appearance. But now you have to strengthen your faith. Instead of playing, I say this, I know I sound boring, but instead of playing video games, read a book. There are many books online on Imam Mehdi alayhi salam. I can share a website for you where you can find all kinds of amazing books. Read. Enjoy it. It's a very inspiring thing to read. When I feel down or depressed or sad, I just read these books. I feel great and happy. Because happiness can only come with our Imam. We cannot truly be happy in this world when he's not here. This world is not a place of happiness when your Imam is away from you. It is like your father. It is like your father is away from you. Do you think an orphan would be happy that his father is away from him or his mother is away from him? Well, our Imam Mehdi alayhi salam is like our father, our spiritual father, and we miss him. You must miss him. Do you not miss to look into his face and see him smile back at you? And he will answer all your questions, all your concerns. He will solve your problems. He cares about you. Just like a spiritual father, just like a normal father, he is our spiritual father and he cares so much about us. Every day he prays and does dua for you. You, yes, you, those who are waiting for his appearance. And he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen you and to make you believers and strong believers, especially ready for the time that he appears. Now, let's look at the enemies. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires to establish the truth. That's when Imam Mehdi will come, and by his words, and to cut off the root of the unbelievers. When he will appear, the unbelievers will be destroyed. Anyone who will stand in his way, to be honest, will have to, well, they won't survive. If you have Allah on your side, who can stand in front of you? Can anyone win you if you have Allah on your side? No. And for the Imam to be able to establish justice around the world finally, because it's never been established, for it to finally be established, the Imam needs to make very strong decisions. We cannot be the indifferent bystander anymore. People have been the indifferent bystander since the beginning of time. In the time of the Imam, there is no indifference. There is no fear, there is no cowardice. If you want to save yourself, you need to improve yourself now. Today is the day of action. So when he will come, you already know he's coming, and you already know what you're going to do to help him. Maybe he's already communicated with you, and you're already serving him before he comes. Now, let's look at these enemies for a second. I know I said the enemies want to kill him. I'm not joking. This is real. Who are the enemies? People who don't like Muslims and don't like Shia. There's a guy called Beck on Fox News. You can go on the internet, you can go on YouTube, and you can find his videos. He has done a 2-hour special on Fox News explaining how the 12th Imam, this is what they called him, the 12th Imam of the Shia is in fact the Antichrist. Basically, he presented that Imam Mehdi is the Dajjal. 2 hours. He made a program on YouTube. I'm not even interested in watching it because I can't stand it. But this is the level of the media being targeted at our Imam. So when he will appear, they would have tricked all the Christians and Westerners saying that this is the Antichrist coming. You have to fight him. Okay, so do you think the enemies believe in Imam Mehdi? Yes, they do. They believe in him maybe more than us. They are maybe working harder than us. Instead of us playing video games at home, or playing sports, or I don't know, watching TV or having fun or whatever, instead of when we're doing that, they're actually plotting and making plans to destroy Imam Mehdi alayhi salam's movement. You want some more evidence? I got some more. In Veterans Today, there was an article written. It said, why is Israel looking for Imam al-Mahdi? You can find this article. Again, you can find it. These are two things I found very easily. There's more things, but I just didn't have time to uncover more information. When the Americans entered into Iraq and took the Iraqi prisoners in Abu Ghraib prison, what they did was they started to interrogate the prisoners. Now, what was surprising, though, is they were interrogating the prisoners, not telling them, where's your stronghold, where's this, where... They were saying, where is Imam al-Mahdi? Tell us where he is. They were interrogating the prisoners. Where is Imam al-Mahdi? And they, of course, Israel is somehow mixed up in the article, you'll find out. But this is some of the two very simple evidences I found of how the enemies of Imam al-Mahdi are working very hard to destroy his revolution or to make it later. We're helping them in this. We're helping them make it late. We're not hastening his appearance, we're making it late too. So we're working with the enemies of Imam al-Mahdi in this case. His enemies are working hard. Question is, are you working hard enough? Is Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam important enough in your life? Is he important enough in your life that you will spend at least half an hour in your day, 15 minutes in your day, reading about him, reading a dua for him, doing a ziyarah for him, al-Yasin? Okay, so basically what I'm telling you guys is you have to step up. Okay, it's not enough for us to just coast through this life and get a bachelor's degree or get a degree and get a career and then move on and get a family and then, I mean, is that the aim of life? Is that the whole point of why we're here? And then we die and then that's it, we go. Like, there must be a bigger purpose for us to be trying to achieve other than the rest of the usual stuff that we go through, the same motions, the social expectations for us to meet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to Shaitan. This hadith is from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. So Shaitan basically, after Allah told him, kicked him out of heaven, and Shaitan said, give me respite, give me like a break until, don't punish me yet, until the day of judgment. At the day of judgment, you can punish me, and I'm going to take all of Adam's children into hell with me, except your purified ones. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it is my decree that on that day, I shall purify the earth from ignorance, polytheism, and sins. Which day? The day the Imam Mehdi will appear. Okay, so Allah had planned this way back. Till that time, I have appointed servants who will be tested in faith. So you guys are being tested now. Your tests are now for you to attain the positions as helpers or assistants or servants of Imam al-Mahdi. Their hearts have been purified of sins from their tests, from asking for forgiveness, from them improving their actions. Their hearts are now filled with humility, faith, piety, truthfulness, patience, abstinence, and with renunciation and precautious piety. Lots of amazing things. I can't go too deep in these characteristics because I don't have time. I have appointed them to invite the sun and the moon and made them my caliphs on the earth and bestowed them with my favorite religion. They will worship me and will never associate anyone with me. They will pray on time. Interesting. Did you hear that? If we want to be a helper of the Imam, we need to be praying on time. That's one step for us to achieve. Are you praying exactly on time, or are we waiting to do something and then we pray? How important is prayer? That's the first thing Allah mentioned. Pay the poor rate. They they help the poor. And they pay on time as well. Their zakat and their khumus, and will always invite others to do good and discourage them from evil. Allah will create love and affection between them. We need to be united. It's funny how we say in our ziyaras that I will be wali I will be an ally to your ally, and I'll be the enemy of your enemy. But really, we're all fighting. Everyone's talking about someone. There is no really love between us as much as there should be for us to be his companions. They will never oppress each other, never backbite about each other, never spread rumors about each other, never say bad things about each other. They will be kind to the young and old, and the old will respect them. They are steadfast in their religion. Steadfast in your religion means you are so strong in belief in your religion, nothing can push you away from your religion. No actions will you take that are outside your religion. And they will always use their judgment on religion. So whenever they decide to do something, they think about it in the religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will make them for my Prophet and for my Imams. Okay? And he said, on that day, I will destroy your warriors, shaitan. You, shaitan, I will destroy your warriors on that day, on the day Imam Mehdi alayhi salam will appear, and I will destroy your armies. So he said, go, I've given you respite. But he basically told him it's useless. What you're trying to achieve, your big plan, the enemies of Imam Mehdi all coming together, the superpowers of the world all coming together will be nothing, no match for one man, Imam Mehdi alayhi salam, and his 313 generals. There will be no match for them. The whole world can go and try to fight, and this will be the case. The whole world will be against you as a companion of Imam al-Mahdi. Everyone will hate you. Everyone will fight you. But if you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind you, what do you fear? Why are you afraid? So, what can we do? We need to make some changes in our lives, guys. It starts with you. With any revolution starts within before we can do a change in our society. So first, learn your Islamic knowledge, not just about Imam al-Mahdi, but yes, including him, but also learn about your salat, how to do salat properly, how to do your sawm properly. Why do you believe in Allah correctly? Your aqa'id needs to be correct. Your belief in God needs to be correct. You need to believe in everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented to you. When you read Quran, do you understand what you're reading? If you don't understand what you're reading, you still got work to do. Learn, and Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, he doesn't need someone who doesn't know anything about his religion. You'll be useless. So the first step is for you to gain knowledge. Strengthen your belief. For you to be able to strengthen your belief, you need to read Quran. And don't do any bad deeds. And you need to sit and ponder. Think about what you're doing. Think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now that you've gained knowledge, you will be able to inform your belief with that knowledge. Think about what you're doing. Don't be a blind follower. A blind follower will be the ignorant one later on. Connect with your Imam. Did you know you can establish a relationship with your Imam? Did you know he can communicate to you? He can come and talk to you, and he can send you messages. He's right there. The problem is we've created these barriers between him and us. And the barrier is disbelief, the barrier is ignorance, the barrier is indifference. Because we're lazy, because we want to play, we want to enjoy ourselves, because pleasures and desires have made a prison, put us in a prison basically, and we can't get out. We can't talk to him. But he's right there. He actually knows more about you than you know about him. He knows every aspect of you. He knows all your good deeds and he knows your bad deeds. He sees how bored you are when you look at me when I'm talking to you right now, or when you're talking to your friend. He's watching you and he's like, so connect with him. He can see you. You don't see him because you don't want to see him. You're closing your eyes. The eyes of your heart are closed, and so are the eyes of your head. Volunteer for Allah. This is, I think, the most important thing I can present to you. If you truly want to become closer to the Imam, you need to add some time in your life that is dedicated to serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purely. I don't want you to volunteer because you need to fill in the volunteer sheet for school. Don't come to me and say, oh, I want to volunteer now because I have to do volunteering for school so they can accept me to be in medicine or something like that. No, that's not the true volunteering. Volunteering is to come, not necessarily to me, anywhere. You go and you do something purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You stick with it, you don't let it go, and you make it a priority, just as your studies are a priority, just as other things in your life are a priority. That should be a priority. If you make Allah a priority in your life, I would assume huge and amazing opportunities will be coming your way very shortly. I've seen it with my own eyes. I have seen this. This is a miracle. I will tell you, I have seen. You appoint a time for you to volunteer to him. Could be anything, going to feed the homeless, making friends with one homeless person and helping them out or something like that. I know, like there's so many things. I'm not going to give you ideas and I don't have time to go into the specifics, but my point is appoint time for you to do this and don't let it become secondary to your studies. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is never second in our life. Allah is first. And the more you give him, the more he'll give you. أَقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا فَيُضَاعِفُهُ. Give a goodly loan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he will multiply it for you. This is actually one of the key ways for you to attain closeness to the Imam. Second thing is be useful. So learn something. Lots of young men, they're like, oh, I'm just going to finish high school and then drop out. Or I'll just do something simple and then they don't have any ambitions. Some boys and girls have no ambitions in their education. No. You go and you become something amazing. Push yourself so hard to become the best of you can be so you can be useful to the Imam. Sure, the Imam, he needs his 313 and they are his generals, but under these generals, there will be thousands of people under them. Armies. These armies are not just going to be going around killing. These will be armies of scientists, armies of engineers. Goes on to this next part. He will need so many things. The first four things he will need to work on, and you can work on right now, is some of you can go into law and politics. We need representation. We need people who can guide and teach others. So some of you can be teachers. Some of you can be imams. Go study in Hawza and become a religious leader and guide your fellow Muslims. Some people he'll need physical strength. If you're good at sports, that's the only thing you're good at, go for it. Be strong. Build your body, build your abilities. And then we have the media. I'm going to go to the media a bit more closely. But for now, we'll just go into some other aspects. Some of you will go into finance and business. Is there a way for you to create a financial project or a business project where you can create money and this money will go to help the poor? This is what Imam Ali alayhi salam did. He used to take land. He did it in a method of agriculture. But here now we have a new system. We have different systems now. Why don't we create projects that will help others, help feed the poor? We need engineers and scientists. He needs them to build. We're going to build and we're going to create solutions that are better than the solutions we have now. You see now we have pollution, we have Basically, we have an industrialized system which basically based on a capitalist model which destroyed the earth because it was in the pursuit of financial gain. Now we have a destroyed world, and we have people talking about global warming and etc., etc., etc. Why don't you, as someone with knowledge of an engineering or science, you can go solve this problem? If Imam Mehdi, if according to the Quran, the pious will inherit the earth, what kind of earth are they going to inherit? It's going to be a mess. Got rivers polluted, everything's a mess. So maybe that's something you can go into and fix. We need people to help in social assistance, psychologists, we need charities, social structures which help our people. We don't have enough. We're not supported enough. And we need medical and the medical and health world, all of them as well. So, of course, Imam Mehdi alayhi salam will need doctors to help cure the wounded and fix many issues on a long-term level and a short-term. So, there are so many things, so many avenues for you to grow into. Allah has already, now listen to this, Allah has already created an opportunity and a path for everyone to answer the call of our Imam. And it's clues, so each of you already have a position set for you. It's just a case of you accepting it. Now, how do we know what our position is? It lies in your own individual and unique set of skills and abilities. If you're good at drawing, maybe your ability to draw, you will create stories for kids to understand about the Prophet and his family and about how to be good and how to have good akhlaq, for example. If you're good at mathematics, maybe you will apply it to either a science or some other, or an engineering or something like that, and then you will create an invention that will help people's lives. I can go into many, many examples. If you're a good writer, maybe you need to write stories, or maybe you need to be a journalist. Fight against the injustice that's happening around the world. So your skills are basically your key to serving Him. And you have been predefined these abilities and skills. We're all good at something. Take that something that you're good at and make it for Him. So you go home today and you sit with yourself privately with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and tell Him, Ya Allah, you've given me these abilities. Give me success in serving you through these beautiful abilities you've given me. If you say this with belief and good intention, pure intention, I will guarantee you an amazing opportunity and path will come your way in your career or in your work, or even it doesn't have to be career, it can be something you do on the side. You will achieve your goal that way. Now, make serving Allah a priority in your life. It does not come second. So today, you say, oh, my studies are very important. I need to get into university, or my high school is very important, or my university studies are very important. I need to get a job. And then you get the job, and then you're like, my job is very important. I need to, keep the job or get the promotion. And then it's just going to continue. I need to support my family. I need to. These things will always be there. We can never make them be number one in our life. Allah's service, number one. When you serve Him and make Him your priority, then subhanallah, the other stuff, it fixes itself effortlessly. Pathways will be opened up to you never even knew. So don't ever make service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala secondary in your life. It's always number one. Choose it, choose something you can do, and stick with it and keep your commitment. If you show the Imam that you can commit to this, then maybe he thinks you will be a good candidate for him to choose you amongst his thousands. Now, the media campaign. There's a media campaign now. We explained briefly about how the enemies are working against Imam Mehdi. Now it's like underground. it will come to the fore when he appears. Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, let's think about her. She kept Imam Hussein's sacrifice, his achievement alive. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he did what he did, but if he did not have Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam and the women with him on the Battle of Karbala, what he would have done would be forgotten. It would have disappeared, it would have gone. Disappeared into the history books, which would be written by Yazid and the oppressors' books, history books. She was tough in her speech against Yazid. Yazid was a very scary, oppressive ruler. She stood and she faced him in such a way that he was afraid that his people will turn against him because of her speech. When they were prisoners in Sham and other parts of as they were going to the court of Yazid, she would sit and talk with the people, whoever would listen. And people started to understand their story, started to understand what a great tragedy had happened. And also when she was freed, when Yazid eventually freed them because he was afraid that he was going to get an uprising, which he did actually. People in Medina did many revolutions then afterwards. When she went back to Medina, she organized gatherings where women would sit and cry about what had happened. Now, you may think these things, young people, you might think, why do we sit in a room and we all cry and everyone's wearing black and everything? Like, it's kind of useless. It was those type of gatherings that Sayyidah Zainab and al-Banin did that were so strong. Her recounting the events so vividly and with such emotion that Yazid, it became too much that Yazid then chose to take her back to Sham. She was just making too much of a chaos for him in Medina that he took her back to Sham, and that's where she died. That's why her grave is not in Medina, her grave is in Syria. She was making such a big change with those gatherings, the gatherings we do every year in Muharram. She was so effective, as I explained to you, he took her back to Sham. She was making too much of a revolution in the hearts of the people. The revolution begins with a tear of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, for Imam Hussein. So, why are we talking about the media? Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam, her voice, she fought with her voice. She did not fight physically. But the voice sometimes is even stronger. Have you ever heard they say the pen is stronger than the sword? If one person reads a book, this book could possibly create the revolution. Maybe that will be enough. Or your voice. So what can we do? Now, we need to hasten the reappearance of our Imam. I'm not interested in waiting for the Imam on dying and then he doesn't appear. I want him to come now. I want to see him now. Or I want to be counted as someone who has hastened his appearance. What can I do? So I've come up with a project. We're going to create a blog. Okay? And this blog, the mission is to hasten the reappearance of the Imam. So what will we achieve? Firstly, let's look at this ayah, and let there be from you a nation inviting to good and enjoining what is right and forbidding what is wrong. Those will be the successful. I want to be successful, so maybe I can do this. And remember what we said early on, Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, those who are silent when others are oppressed are guilty of oppression themselves. They will be walking behind. The people who did not fight, they did not fight with Imam Hussein, and they did not fight with Yazid. Those people will find themselves walking behind Yazid on the Day of Judgment. If you let someone, an oppressor, oppress without you intervening, you'll be considered as him, as if you did the same thing. What do we want to do? This blog wants to inspire belief in Islam. So we want to inspire people when they read these articles. We want to educate with Islamic knowledge, so we'll inspire, make them feel good. Make that spark of belief light up in their hearts. Educate is to teach them. This is how you should do this. This is how you should do this. This is not. This is right. This is wrong. We want to speak out against injustice. How many Muslims now all over the world suffering and we're doing nothing? You want to do something. You don't want to be counted in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will bring them in front of you. I saw a video of the Chinese Muslim kids in an orphanage crying because they put them there and they took their parents to the containment camps. Do you know how heartbreaking it is to see that picture? Kids crying for their parents, and they're sitting in this big room of indifferent nursery workers who don't care about them. That's the worst thing you can do to a child. Take them away from their parents. Okay, we can speak up. Why don't we talk about it? No one talks about, are we waiting for the main news channels, Western news channels, to kind of talk about it? Because to be honest, they're not talking about it. It's not important to them. Okay? Never has a Muslim been shown in a positive light in the media. It's always a negative, and it's always been unbalanced. So we're supporting our Muslim brothers and sisters. We will start initiatives, projects to support charities that help them, and so on, and exposing the truth. When there's so much falsehood out there against us Muslims, we need to speak back up again. We need to speak up for ourselves. We need to tell them, the world, the real story. We are living in a time where we are able to write an article and it can be written by anybody. We can write an essay or make a video or something, and then it can be seen by anyone in the world. It doesn't matter how many people see it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring them to us. But importantly, we're going to put our message out there. We won't be the passive bystanders. I refuse to be the passive bystander. I refuse to be the fearful follower. I will be the active follower. I will be the active lover of Ahl al-Bayt, Prophet Muhammad and his family, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salawat. And we will use our words like Sayyidah Zaineb alayhi salam and like Imam Sajjad to create the change. If we will be successful in this. Okay, we'll be successful. We'll do our best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does the rest. Who's with me? Okay, so whoever's interested, talk to me about after this. Give me your information. We're going to create a WhatsApp group, and then we'll start from there. Okay? And young and old, everyone's welcome. I'm going to just make a final thought. I'm really sorry. I took a long time, but I think I'm almost there. On the time when the Imam appears, it will be very difficult. It will be like you holding a coal in your hand, a burning coal, and you're holding it in your hand. You won't be able to, basically. Very few will be able to carry on with their religion when he appears. It will be very difficult at the beginning because the war against him will be the whole world against him. Just like the people in Yemen, the Saudi army against a small Yemeni poor country. Well, now you can see the Yemenis are starting to win, and the Saudis are starting to feel the heat. But after what? After so much sacrifice and difficulty. Same thing when Hezbollah did against Israel. Same thing when the Iraqis did against ISIS. Like, there are many parts in history, in the ancient history as well, where a small group won against a huge group. We can do this, guys. But this is not for the fearful, this project, and it's not for the indifferent. Don't do it because it's cool. Do it because you want to do it for the Imam and you want to do it for your fellow Muslims. So please, please, be active now. You don't have to join my project. You do any other project, but be active now. Fix yourself now. Fight your desires. Ask for forgiveness for your sins. Stop your bad deeds. Pray on time. Read dua. So on and so on. Inshallah, Allah will make you successful. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.